Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Yesterday, the NCAA tournament bracket was released, and guys, we are in store for a fantastic tournament this year. The tournament, of course, starting on Tuesday with the first four, the round of 64 getting started on Thursday. And again, this is going to be, for me, a March Madness unlike any other. Because not only are we going to have fans returning to all of the games, something that we did not have last year, we're going to have all the regions back. Last year, the tournament was played in Indianapolis, so that's going to be great. But there's really no clear-cut favorite going into this tournament. Yes, Gonzaga is the number one overall seed. But in years past, it hasn't meant anything. The number one overall seed, as we all know, is no lock to make the Final Four, no lock to win the championship. And today, guys, we were taking a look at a handful of teams that could bust your brackets. Every year, there's those one or two teams that comes out of nowhere and stuns the nation and makes you throw your bracket in the trash maybe by the end of day one. Oral Roberts from last year, Loyola Chicago from a few years prior than that, VCU, George Mason, so many different teams that have done that in the past. We're here to take a look at a handful today that could make an unexpected run. Before we do that, though, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. We're going to be touching on March Madness today and tomorrow, and then we'll get right back into our college football content, but it's the tournament. You got to talk about it. But if you guys can like, comment, subscribe, it helps our channel out tremendously, helps us bring you content year-round, 24/7, 365, and helps us continue to talk sports with you guys during that time as well. So we really, really, really would appreciate it if you just take a few seconds to do all of that. So let's take a look at our first team. And again, this is just a handful of teams. There's a handful of teams we're not going to mention that could bust your brackets. It can be this year's Cinderella. But I want to start with a 4 seed. And you're going to say, how can a top 4 seed be a bracket buster? Well, if you look at the Arkansas Razorbacks, this is a team that back in December and early January was on nobody's radar to even make the tournament. They had bad losses to Hofstra and Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. But they finished their year on a 15-3 run, won 15 of their last 18 games, including 3 wins over LSU, a win against Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee, all of those being tournament teams. Don't let their last performance against Texas A&M in the SEC semifinals, an 82-64 loss, don't let that be the reason you don't push Arkansas through in your brackets. Don't let that be the reason. Because the Razorbacks are a pretty solid defensive team. They've gotten so much better since that horrendous start back in December and January. They've allowed over 76 points just twice in their last 18 games. And with a big man in Jalen Williams, J.D. Note, who is one of the most prolific guards in the entire country, not just the SEC, and Stanley Amude, who has quickly been picking up the slack for the Razorbacks, Arkansas is a team that could be very, very dangerous, and if they're lucky, could get to the Sweet 16 where they would most likely face Gonzaga. And I believe the Razorbacks could match up very well against the Bulldogs and make that game very, very close and very competitive. But for the Razorbacks to even get to that point, they have to get past the Catamounts of Vermont, the 13 seed. And guys, this is another team that could bust your brackets because Vermont could easily be in the Sweet 16. This is a prolific three-point shooting team. They are unbelievable at shooting the 3 ball. They play phenomenal as a team. This is a team, guys, that won all 3 of their conference tournament games. Vermont, all 3 of their conference tournament games by at least 30 points. Won all 3 by at least 30 points. Arkansas at times has struggled to defend the three-pointer. And if Vermont gets hot against the Razorbacks, not only will defeat them, but they have a very good chance to take down UConn or New Mexico State, the winner of that 5-12 matchup. If New Mexico State, the Aggies, for to upset UConn, Vermont could very well take down the Aggies and find themselves, more than likely, against Gonzaga. Vermont, guys, do not sleep on them against the Razorbacks. Do not sleep on them as a potential double-digit seed Sweet 16 member. How about Murray State? The Racers? Look at the numbers. 30-2 on the year, a perfect 18-0 in Ohio Valley Conference play. The only 2 losses this year were to East Tennessee State way early in the year. The other game to Auburn. Neither of those, East Tennessee State, sure, but the Auburn game, excusable, understandable. The Tigers coming in as a 2 seed. But the Racers in at the 7 seed. 79.3 points per game, led by K.J. Williams, who is averaging 18.2 points per game. And guys, the Racers, they literally are racing. They are a fast-paced team. And when they are hot, they are almost impossible to stop. Just go back and watch how they play in that Ohio Valley Championship game. Unbelievable. unbelievable display of basketball. So when this team gets going, guys, they are physical. They shoot well, they defend well, they are fast, they want to push, and I believe they have a great opportunity to take down San Francisco, a team that's making their first tournament appearance since 1998, and that would make sure that Murray State takes on Kentucky, more than likely, in the next round. I believe Murray State, guys, matches up well with Kentucky. I believe they have the size, the talent, and the speed to hang in there with the Wildcats. If they can shut down Oscar Tshiebwe, I believe that Murray State has the potential to upset Kentucky in the round of 32. The Racers very well could be in the Sweet 16 as well. So do not sleep on Murray State in the opening round game. Many will probably pick them to beat San Francisco. If you make a handful of brackets this year, make sure you sprinkle in a few Murray State upsets over the Wildcats. Make sure you do that. Loyola Chicago. They have been the nation's darling. Sister Jean, right? The Fighting Sister Jeans. They have been there for the last few years, ever since their Final Four run a few years ago. Last year, they got in there, upset Illinois as an 8 seed. The Ramblers are no, surprise to March Madness anymore. No one's sleeping on the Ramblers. And even after the loss of Porter Moser, they find themselves back in the tournament as a 10 seed. And they're very deserving of that. Won the Missouri Valley Conference with a 25-7 record, and I believe that they will, I'll give you a free pick, will upset Ohio State in the opening round. The Buckeyes getting cold at the wrong time, while Loyola Chicago is getting hot at the right time. This is a team that spreads the ball out extremely well. You've got a guy like Lucas Williamson, Braden Norris. They spread the ball out. They play very well as a team. To me, there's not one huge playmaker. Loyola Chicago, anybody can beat you on any given day on this team. And I believe that Loyola Chicago could take down Villanova in the second round to advance again to the Sweet 16, where they would most likely take on Tennessee. Remember, the Ramblers took down Tennessee a few years ago when they had that Final Four run. Villanova, very good team out of the Big East, deserving of a 2 seed, but has a couple defensive breakdowns this year, especially inside the arc. And that's where Loyola Chicago is going to do a lot of their damage, is inside the arc, not necessarily from the outside. If the Ramblers can get past Ohio State, Villanova and the Wildcats will be in for a huge fight in the round of 32. We got 2 more teams, guys. How about South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits? They're a 13 seed taking on the 4 seed and the Providence Friars, and that's a tough draw for both. And I really thought that the Jackrabbits would actually get a 12 seed to take on a 5, and we know how many times they can upset that. 5-12 upsets are very common in March Madness. If the Jackrabbits can get past Providence, they'll take on Iowa. I think they match up well with the Hawkeyes too. But the Jackrabbits, guys, are one of the better scoring teams in the country. And that's why this game against Providence is going to be so interesting. Jackrabbits averaging 86.7 points per game. They shoot 45% from three-point range. You got a guy like Douglas Wilson and Baylor Shireman and Noah Friedel. All of them are so dangerous. One of the better trios maybe going into this tournament. South Dakota State, 30-4 on the year, a perfect 18-0 in the Summit League. I would not be surprised at all to see them take down Providence. And I hate that, because Providence was a team that impressed the heck out of me this year. Kind of unheard of for the Friars to be a top 10 team nationally. And their amazing Cinderella season could come to an end in the first round of the tournament with a loss to South Dakota State if the Friars can't play defense. And then we have our last big team you need to watch out for, guys, your bracket buster. It's Chattanooga. They became a Cinderella already after winning the Southern Conference on a wild buzzer beater over Furman. But this is a very big and physical team. Seth Davis from CBS not only has them in the Sweet 16, but said this team is built like a power program. You know, Chattanooga being a mid-major, they said they have the talent and the size of that of maybe a team from the SEC or the Big Ten. And Chattanooga, guys, taking on an Illinois team out of the Big Ten that, for me, has been wildly inconsistent. And if Chattanooga can shut down Kofi Cockburn, I believe that they're a lock for the round of 32. This is the team that's averaging 75 points per game. Malachi Smith is averaging 20.1 points per game. Phenomenal during those conference tournaments. If they win, guys, they will take on the winner of Houston and UAB, a potential 5-12 upset there. And I believe that Chattanooga matches up well with both. So if they can upset Illinois, they have a very good chance to win their next game and find themselves in the Sweet 16. Again, all of that could be, all these guys, it's just speculation. Some of these are maybe a bit of a stretch, but that's the beauty of March Madness. We truly don't know what's coming. We truly don't know what's going to happen in the following days, especially starting Thursday. But you cannot sleep on any of these teams. And these are just a handful. New Mexico State, a 12 seed, another team that people are high on, could upset UConn And maybe the Aggies end up taking on Arkansas in the second round. Or maybe they take on Vermont, like we mentioned earlier. UAB over Houston, a likely pick for many. So many upsets are going to happen, guys, over these next few days, but these are the ones that we feel very confident about, or teams that we feel confident about that could bust your brackets. And so that way, if you're making a few, make sure you factor in a few of these teams to pull off a handful of upsets so you're not tossing them in the trash by the end of the first day. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. March Madness right around the corner. Again, first four kicking off on Tuesday, tomorrow, along with our March Madness predictions. Round of 64 kicking off on Thursday. That is where the true fun begins. But make your brackets, get them in. Best of luck to everybody. Let's have fun for, again, a March Madness I truly believe will be unlike any other. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. Just takes a few seconds, helps us out tremendously, so make sure you do that. And once again, we will see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.